Hello and welcome. This is it, fresh off the press, the very first episode of the food and drink podcast you've all been waiting for, Parched and Peckish. I'm Sam, and with me is my partner in all things drinking and eating, Mr. Drink and Eat himself, Nate Nolan. Our podcast will be a kind of show and tell, with me bringing along interesting food and drink, and both of us eating and drinking it, whilst hopefully entertaining you with our thoughts, ideas, and rambling digressions. In our first episode, we delve into the mysterious world of French craft beers. So with a little je ne sais quoi, here we go. So Nate, it's been a long time coming.
It has. We've been planning to do something like this for years, I think, actually.
Yeah, possibly.
Yes.
Some kind of collaboration.
Some kind of collaboration that involved a microphone and beer.
Yeah.
And we have a microphone and we have beer.
We have beer. We're lucky.
An interesting beer.
Well, I really do.
Interesting looking beer, anyways.
Yeah, definitely interesting looking. And, well, the real interesting thing about this beer is that it's all from French craft breweries. And those are not three words that typically... Well, recently, maybe things have changed, but I'm not used to drinking French craft beer.
No, well, we certainly don't see very much of it over here. You know, Scandinavian, Australian, New Zealand, Belgian, obviously, American, German, but the French, not renowned for their, or not famous yet, but some of the reading I've been doing, through via information coming through you, is that it's there are more than we realize in France these days. They are getting the bug, but where you mentioned around Lille.
No, well, in Lille traditionally that's where the breweries are, but
right.
A lot of these beers have actually come from around Lyon, so the Rhone Valley, and also kind of the southwest, and around Bordeaux as well. So it seems like traditional wine growing areas are maybe the sons and daughters of the vineyard, or the winemakers are setting up their craft breweries. But I put a tweet out today actually to Des Demore asking if he had any kind of information. If you need information, he's the man to go to. And
right. Well, I'm seeing him tomorrow, so I can pick his brain a bit, or at least tell him about these interesting beers. So this first one, Du Bout du Monde Saison, from Brasserie de la Vallée du Gifre, which you mentioned before that they love a kind of a name that rolls off the tongue. The French, they seem to have slightly long-winded names. Some of these craft breweries.
Long-winded names. I think that's what Brewery of the Valley of the Giraffe.
Yes.
Yeah, with a picture of an elephant on the.
Which is even more misleading because there's a picture of an elephant on there, and so you've got English people potentially reading that and going, "Oh, well, really? Is that what a gifre is?" So they start going around saying, "Elephant is gifre in French," when it's patently not.
No. I did have a quick look at their website earlier, and all of their beers have different animals on. So
right.
I think there is a theme there.
And there's you've got three of these beers here, or four of these beers, and three of them are in the sort of the classic champagne sort of cage cork 750ml bottle. Is that common?
Yeah.
In that you found in Lyon?
Well, the nice thing about Lyon is you kind of wander around, you go into lovely wine shops and bars and things like that. And then I kind of was trying to find out where I could buy beer in Lyon, and they recommended a shop just around the corner from where we were staying. And honestly, I wish I'd gone on the first day, because there was racks, shelves and shelves of these 750ml bottles from tons of different breweries. And the choice was just immense. I mean, there's as many different styles of beer in there as you'd find in any London beer shop.
Wow. But are they getting out across France, or is this sort of narrowed to this area in Lyon? Is this the beer sort of hub there?
No, it's not at all. Paris it's huge in Paris. There's tons of shops in Paris.
Right.
And I think that Des kind of got back to me with the list, and I think there was something like 600 or 700 breweries on the list.
Right, wow.
And considering where I think France was maybe a decade ago, where there was maybe 3 or 4 huge breweries in France. I mean, when you think of French beer, you think of Kronenbourg.
Yeah.
and the kind of the strange style, which I've never really got on with, Bière de Garde, which is
Right.
beer for
Yes.
storing.
Yes. Yeah. Which you see in Belgium.
Yes.
Sometimes as well.
Yeah. And that's kind of very malty, not very hop forward, not really my cup of tea kind of beer. I mean, but let's go through this one. What do you think of it?
I think it's really lovely. I love how fragrant it is on the nose. That's what really struck me. Quite floral. That saison yeast that you're familiar with, that my nose has gotten used to, but there's a lovely lifted floral kind of perfume to it, webbed in there, and then fruits, pineapple and mango and things like that, which I can associate with these sort of more tropical fruit on the nose.
Yeah, I like the fact as well. This is 4.5%, so it's not heavy like some of the saisons can be. Although it's still got a very rich kind of mouthfeel to it.
The mouthfeel is wonderful. It is fragrant. There's a nice lean sort of bite to it. You get a richness, but it cleans away quite quickly. It does sort of. It doesn't hang around thick and sort of heavy in your mouth. It's really sort of refreshing, and it's the kind of thing, with these styles of beer that you feel yourself sort of coming in from a day's working in the field, and you just I could drink quite a few of those, sweating it out in the fields during the day, and then drinking some of this at the end of the day. This is definitely a very refreshing style of saison.
Yeah. And talking about kind of French beer again, I mean, I was talking to a colleague of mine actually on the way home. I was saying French beer. I mean, I never knew that there was so much. And I was kind of thinking, they mentioned Italian beer.
Yeah.
As a similar kind of, I mean, they're a bit further ahead of the game.
Yeah.
But I was thinking maybe if a country doesn't have a very rich beer history, it's more open to experimentation. I mean, I could think the UK kind of actually goes against that.
Yes.
But America is a good example, I think. Italy, and if this is anything to go by, France.
Well, yeah, we've got some quite interesting other beers that you've got lined up for us. This, in some ways, is quite traditional.
Yeah.
Of the region, saison, Belgium and Wallonia, for producing these kinds of styles of beer, and so I think this is quite traditional. But some of the other ones you got there are a little less traditional from the area.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to try some of these, and they've. I mean, I think we're going to go up in alcohol kind of strength rather than in style.
Right.
But we do have a smoked pale. Which,
right.
Maybe I've given the game away a bit too early there. Maybe I should have let you taste it first. And what the next brewery is called a tropical stout. Yeah, let's just pontificate over this one for a little bit longer. Well, it's interesting. I had a Saison du Pont last night, and I'm beginning to find that actually a little bit cloying now.
Compared to the styles of saison that we're seeing from UK brewers, American brewers.
Exactly, yeah. And I think the saison yeast flavours really go quite well with a lighter beer in a way. And I think the Saison du Pont is just that touch too heavy. And also I always get a hint of baked beans on it, which is not the most pleasant flavour now. But I mean,
well, not unless you're a big fan of baked beans, yeah. But not in your beer necessarily.
No.
With beer, but maybe not in your beer.
Maybe. What would you match with baked beans if you were going to go with a beer?
Oh, well, I'd probably go with something dark, actually. Dark and like bacon. If you're thinking bacon and beans are really nice, something slightly smoky.
Yeah.
That's my initial thought would be something slightly smoky, a nice smoky, thinking bacon works with beans and so a smoky beer might be quite nice. But if you were like baking them in the oven with all kinds of other cheese and stuff like that, you might not want something like that. But that's what my gut tells me. But what do I know about beer and bean matching?
Probably more than me. But, so we're in Croydon, which is now where both of us live.
Yes, it is. Yes. I'm sort of South Norwood, so still a London postcode. But yes, we are about 15 minutes away from each other now. So it means we're seeing each other even less than we did when we lived miles away from each other.
But hopefully what that means is that we can get together regularly to record something.
Yeah, no, that it's great being able to do something creative like this and have it focused on something that we're both so passionate about, which is Tiddlywinks.
Yes, yeah. So that's the beer done. We're going to start crack open the Tiddlywinks, and you have to listen to us play and commentate on that for the next 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah. Yes, anyone not interested in Tiddlywinks, I'd tune out now.
So I bought a goodie recently, and I'm just going to show Nate this because seeing as we're talking about food and beer matching of sorts, this is a brand new book from a Daniel Burns, who's owns a restaurant in New York called Torst, I think, which I think is thirst in Scandinavian,
or Geordie for toast.
Yeah, and a guy called Jeppe Janet. I can't do it. Jerzo, who's a gypsy brewer.
Right.
And is involved in Evil Twin. But look at this thing. I've never seen anyone take this much time.
The photography is quite intense, isn't it? There's a lot of beautiful photographs. It is a super coffee table book for something like that.
I mean, this is extreme. I mean, I just opened it at a random page. And the title is Brett Fermented Beer with Confit Duck Sandwich. I mean, this is kind of high-end comfort food beer matching.
It's very dense, so looks like there's a lot of storytelling in there as well as the recipes. It's not just recipes, and it's talking about styles of beer as well.
Yeah.
So you've got intros to styles of beer and recipes and stories. So yeah, it's quite a beautiful book, actually.
It is wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no recipes in here for baked beans, I don't think. I've had a quick look.
I'm sure, to give him a shameless plug, I think Mark Dredge's book definitely has something on baked beans in there.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone was going to cover beans, it would be Mark.
Yes. In beer and food. There are a few more books floating around there. That's the only one that I have. And so when I'm looking to match things, that's the one I often refer to. But there's obviously so much more going on. Garrett Oliver's The Brewmaster's Table is quite is a sort of a benchmark though as well.
It is, and it's huge. It is huge, and it takes a while to get the information out of it, but it's good information when you can.
Right.
Yeah, it's
a bit of a tome.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And
the War and Peace of beer and food matching
pretty much
books.
is. I mean, it goes right next to my Oxford Guide to Beer as well, which is kind of, they're both weighty.
Yes.
And,
did you get it signed by Garrett when he was in town that time?
I didn't.
The
only thing I've got signed by Garrett is
your tummy.
I think it was a label I'd torn off of a Sriracha Ace bottle.
Oh, right.
I carried around in a notebook. Oh, I sound like such a fanboy now.
Right.
That's quite embarrassing.
Well, there's worse people to be fans of, I imagine.
Yeah.
Or more embarrassing, anyways.
Certainly, and there's not many people outside the beer world who probably know who Garrett Oliver is, but within the beer world, he's a legend.
He is a bit of a legend. So this was very tasty. This Debout de mon Saison.
It was a very solid Saison. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, that was that. I think that it had plenty of character, freshness. Was very true to the style. Very drinkable, but nice complexity, and really, I think a really good shout. That beer, really very tasty and very accomplished.
Yeah, and a good kick-off beer for this. Yeah. Right, here we go. I like the artwork on all of these beers, but this is the one that
Il était une fois.
It really doesn't make any sense.
There was this time. is essentially my reasonably.
So once upon a time, I guess.
Once upon a time, and we've got some guy who looks like the good, the bad, and the ugly, sort of Clint Eastwood Western type guy with a beer in his hand on a horse and a poncho and shotgun, sort of underneath a very kind of Sierra, sort of spaghetti Western kind of landscape, a la New Mexico or somewhere the Grand Canyon type lookout. But this is tropical stout, which could mean a number of things. Do we need fresh glasses?
We can do. Yeah. Let's go with those ones. Tropical stout, which has nothing to do with the Wild West or cowboys or anything like that, but
I guess it's just they're riffing, aren't they?
C'est comme ça.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and this again is another 750ml bottle.
Yeah, with the crown cap, rather than none of them have champagne sort of cages on them. They're all crown capped, but in these lovely brown thick. Brown glass bottles. I think the UK could learn a lot from this. Well, what it does is it says, take me seriously. Have me with food. I'm a grown-up beer. I think that's what it's saying. Share me with friends. This is an occasion beer, and I think that there is something to be said for that. Ooh, very... Oh, that is peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It is.
And there's a little tropical fruit there. And then sweaty socks.
So I did a bit of reading, and I think the tropical is not referring to direct fruit addition or anything like that. It's actually the hops that they're using.
Right.
So, but...
I've never smelled peanut butter and chocolate. So, and then there's coffee, rich coffee underneath, and there's this lovely espresso foam on the top. It's super thick and dense. You could almost decorate a cake with that. And it says 5.9% on the bottle. It smells like a stronger beer. Again, that's incredibly accomplished. Yeah, richness, and then that a light sort of fragrant. Roasted coffee bean character to it. Long, though. It softens, but it's very long on the palate.
Yeah. That's incredibly drinkable. That's wonderful. That is...
And again, sort of like this previous Saison, a beer, a very drinkable beer, but I think, again, it has the complexity, it has the diversity to be more than just just a beer to drink, but a beer that go really nicely with different kinds of roasted meats, some cheeses, maybe some creamy cheeses, because there is a nice lightness to it. And I know popular stouts, these kinds of stouts with puddings and stuff like that. But very, very, very solid beer.
This is quite dry though, isn't it? And there's the hint of sweetness that was kind of hinted at on the nose with the chocolate. I don't think is really there.
No, it's very dry. It's like a dry cocoa.
Yeah.
Powder kind of dusting that you might get on a ganache or something like that, but it's very dry. It's not a sweet. It's not sweet in any way.
And this is brewed near the Rhone, near some regions that you'll be very familiar with, Nate. It's near Crozes Hermitage.
Oh yes.
Saint Joseph and Saint Péray. It's kind of between the three.
Yeah, well, those are some lovely names. Those are some lovely names in terms of the wine world. Very, very good wines and some good value. Wines from the Rhone. If you're looking away from the big names, a Crozes, a Hermitage as opposed to a Hermitage, and your Chateauneuf de Pape and things like that, certainly, and then some nice white around there as well. Saint Péray, actually, I've had some nice white Rhone from there, but not content with just kicking ass with the wine. They're by this standard, they're brewing some excellent beer in the area as well.
And I think this really stands up to scrutiny compared to like some of our, London or British breweries.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Both of these beers on par with some with as good as can be produced by craft brewers in this country. These are both standout beers in their styles, and really worthy of praise. They're it may be a bit sort of flip the label on this with this guy on his horse, but maybe tongue in cheek. But the beer is whoever's brewing this was this Brassin Unique
Plain Loon. So I think it means brasserie of the.
Oh, because they have the name of the beer, and then they've got the name because they call them brasseries, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. When they for producing,
which is very confusing when you're googling these places because it just comes up with a load of restaurants.
Yeah. Well, but that association that brasserie is a restaurant, but it's also a brewery.
Well, yeah,
and I get.
It would be a restaurant attached to a brewery or a restaurant that serves beer, so,
right? Or
even have a brew pub in it. But I mean, we're talking a long time ago.
Yeah,
that term was kind of originally became meaning restaurant.
Yeah. So it was a brewery first before it was a restaurant.
Yeah.
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 That's delicious. Really delicious beer.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I'm not sure where the tropical's coming from though. I mean, maybe coconut. A hint of is there coconut there or?
There is some coconut with the cocoa with the dry cocoa on the finish. It's very subtle, and it's sort of more of a dried coconut, desiccated. Yeah. Which always is such an intense word to apply.
It reminds me of a mummy or something pretty horrendous. But, no, this is really good. Wonderful beer.
Yeah.
We better start talking about something else. Otherwise, we're just going to keep saying wonderful beer.
Yeah. You tell me a little bit more. You've talked a little bit about the shop in Lyon.
Well, yeah, and it's like I said, a very impressive shop. He gave me a loyalty card, which unfortunately I was leaving the next day.
Slightly moot, yes.
Yeah. But Lyon.
But you did stock up, I heard, because you were tweeting some stuff, and I was reasonably jealous because you'd been in the Rhone and you'd stocked up on wine and beer while you were there.
Yeah, so we visited Tain-Hermitage, which is the small village.
Yeah.
Which is where the
Cave du Tain, I think. A name, Cave du Tain. Yeah.
Cave du Tain is and so we visited that village, which is a wonderful wine area.
Yeah.
All Syrah and Marsanne Roussanne.
Yeah.
Roussanne,
yeah, that's the one.
But then going back to Lyon again, we were looking for places to drink beer, and there are loads of places to drink beer. So they have their own version of Brewdog, which is a brewing company called Ninkasi. Not the same Ninkasi as...
There's a few, there's another one. There's an Ninkasi, is it in the
States?
Yeah, and Wild Beer brew a Ninkasi beer. Yeah, so it is the Sumerian goddess of beer. Yeah. So it is that it's not more used other places. So but they're called Ninkasi as well.
Ninkasi, and they're a brewery with big ideas. And
yeah.
They've got 4 or 5 bars around Lyon, one of which is a venue, so a rock venue.
Right.
With a fast food cafe attached to it, which serves excellent burgers.
Yeah.
And they have a really solid range of kind of the standard craft beers, if you like. Yeah. So they've got an amber, they've got a pale ale, they've got a double IPA, a stout, and then they've got they have seasonals which kind of which rotate. So while we were there, they had one in homage to what's his name, Lemmy.
Right.
From
Motorhead.
From Motorhead, which was called Smokehead or something like that. So it was a smoked brown ale.
Yeah.
And really, really good beers.
Yeah.
The bars, maybe I'm not so much of a fan of. Less comfortable, more kind of
Spartan.
Yeah, for the young people, I would say.
Yes. Well, in your daughterage, you would say that. Yes. Yeah. Having just had your 36th birthday. So, will they not get into any kind of legal trouble? What is it with in terms of names calling a brewery Ninkasi? There's one in the States, not obviously a massive one, but are they, it being American, are they likely to sue?
I really doubt it. I mean, I think, the only breweries who are kind of in the position where they're able to sue are kind of big powerful international breweries like...
Which, we'll just bleep out the next few words. Yeah. But,
or Camden. But no, I think the Ninkasi is probably one of those names where it's difficult to claim ownership over.
Yeah. It being a historical, popular name rather than something that is... Well, then we get into another conversation about a historical name of a brewery being taken, and then I think that gets all very political. Should we open another beer? Should we?
Yes.
I think before things. Should we do this?
Let's do this.
This winter.
Smoked winter. So this is another 750ml bottle, 7%, and on this we've got the very, I don't know, it's some upside down one-eyed angel with stars. No, it's not. It looks like a playing card. And it's the... is it a tarot card or something?
Or maybe a tarot card, but it's got a 5 on it and 3 stars. So it's not an actual... You're absolutely right. There isn't a reference to a particular playing card. I just saw the 5 on it,
and it's called Le Barriole, and I don't know what that means. Do you know what it means?
No, I've got no idea. My French is functional, but not terribly creative.
And it's brewed by Brasserie Stéphanoise.
Stéphanoise. Well, that's reasonably easy to say. Stéphanoise. Yeah.
Short and snappy. Yeah. And I can tell you it's from Saint Etienne.
Saint Etienne. Okay. Yeah.
Which is southwest of Lyon. So the beer shop where I bought these do specialise in beers from around the region of Lyon.
And you were talking before about the number of breweries that are now craft breweries operating in France, that it has gone up exponentially in the last few years.
And I think it's a theme we're seeing all around Europe.
Yes.
Right, we're pouring these in the lovely fancy IPA glasses that I got for my birthday.
Yes, they're very nice.
Spiegelhau.
I saw these on Twitter. Yeah.
But one thing, which another theme of French breweries, craft breweries, seems to be a lack of interest in website design.
Right.
So the information about a lot of these breweries has come from Facebook pages, or just Rate Beer or Beer Advocate.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's not as forthcoming.
No, it's a lot of iodine on there, really.
So that's... Yeah, if this is smoked, or comes from smoked malts.
Yeah.
Or it's been aged in a whiskey barrel.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's certainly been aged in a whiskey barrel. That's what it's that peated character that says Islay or Highland, but it's whiskey. If I didn't know what was in there and someone wafted that near me, I'd say that was whiskey. That was a single malt whiskey. Very strong iodine, almost piercing. There is some smokiness, some sort of rich kind of raisin loaf malt underneath it, but that iodine character is really quite pronounced. Ooh, yes. I liked it, and then I didn't like it, and then I liked it, and then I didn't like it again. That's more of an odd fish, that one. That's I think that's one of those beers where they're being creative, they're pushing boundaries, and I don't know that they've quite got it right. It is incredibly dry, the finish. I just need another sip because the finish on that is so dry. I don't know if it's the time in barrel that it's like the woody tannins on that have just sucked it all up, and the beer is super, super dry.
I'm not quite sure what to make of it. At first it seems like there's quite a lot of residual sugar, but then that just evaporates.
It goes away. You've got sort of muscovado hit of Muscovado. You get a little bit of there's a little bit of decent foam on that, so there's a tiny bit of richness. You're getting all that peated sort of character to it, and then it sort of goes away, and it's incredibly dry. I'm gonna be really honest. I don't love it. I think it's interesting, but the other beers were both so they were complex and they had character, but there was immense drinkability. This beer, it's got some of the complexity, but I might be hard pressed to even want to finish the bit that I've been poured there.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there, but I will.
Such a trooper, such a trooper.
They tried so hard.
Whether it's a try too hard, I don't know, but it's so dry. And I want something else. For me, it's very two-dimensional. It's kind of doing sort of two things, and it's not giving you a complete picture of what it possibly could be or what it's hinting at.
I do feel like I need a glass of water to go with it.
It is so dry. My lips feel like cracking and chapping, like I'm out in the desert or something like that.
So when I walked into this shop, in my very bad French, I did ask for the most interesting beers he had, because I didn't want to carry beers all the way home from Lyon and have them just to be bog standard. And this is far from bog standard. But
no, absolutely not. We shouldn't be running it down in terms of that this is a badly produced beer. It's well produced. There are no faults. I don't that I can detect. There's a nice head on it. It's lively. It is what it's intending to be, but it's not for me. It's not enjoyable. There's an austerity to it. But it certainly could work. But again, we've got this 750ml bottle. Work under work as more like a whiskey than a beer.
Yeah.
You have a little measure of it with, a cigar or some good cheddar, and it's I think in something like that, treated in a certain way, it would possibly work a little better.
I mean, it's 7%, and I think it shows it. I think it almost drinks stronger than it actually is.
It is, and I think it's that it's so strong, that peaty iodine whiskey barrel character.
It gives the illusion, doesn't it, of being a stronger beer.
Yeah, it feels, and I'm feeling. We drank those other beers, and I wasn't feeling it, but I guess this is the third beer. You might start to feel it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But certainly not something that you would drink lightly. This is definitely something you would be wanting to think about, and again, not wanting to say it's a bad beer, but just it's quite an intense beer.
It is pretty intense.
Yeah.
So next we have one which I'm actually a bit scared of.
The label on there looks like some kind of a pterodactyl crossed with a person praying near a tree that's coughing out smoke and is orange.
Yeah. At least holding a flower of some kind. So
a flower there is, it looks like a lily or something like that. And there's a castle. And it is, but there is some English on there.
There is. It says cognac barrel,
which means
cognac barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is by a brewery called La Debauche, which I can only presume means the debauchery.
Yes. Well, again, if my French was more than just pedestrian, I would be able to help you with that. And unfortunately, it is not. I'm assuming this is our highest booze factor.
Yeah, this is 9.5%.
9.5. So down. So and this is the smallest. This is a small bottle. This is a 330.
This is a UK craft beer bottle size.
Yes. Yeah. 33 centiliter bottle. So I guess it's down in one, this one, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Half and half and then down in one.
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe I'll get some lemonade. Right.
That's a good idea.
Let's see.
So, fairly lively. Quite lively in pouring out there. Amber. Very amber in color. Nice little rich kind of... Oh, yeah. That is stonking on the nose. You don't even need to get your snoot close to that to...
So this is definitely the barley wine kind of end of the spectrum.
And that stung a bit. It's probably because it's French, and if I didn't know it was French, but I got a kind of like a creme brulee on the nose there, like a burnt sugar, and a slight richness, slight density, slight custardiness underneath.
And then the more you smell, the more the wood comes through, maybe. Getting a bit of wood, maybe a bit of cognac.
Or it's getting an earthy, little bit mushroomy, I think.
Yeah,
as well. It's very complex on the nose, very evolving.
I would say this is this brewery wins the prize for the best of the French websites.
It's the most informative.
The most informative.
Reaching out.
Yeah. Well, you didn't get much of a pour there.
No, it's all right. I got a bit of a taste, and there's plenty going on in there. Stone fruit, so peach, like a peach melba, like a baked peach thing going on there. Again, but super dry. The finish is very, very dry, and it's that I think those wood tannins that you're getting from the cognac barrels,
and maybe quite a lot of hop bitterness coming through there at the end as well, which is a bit surprising for a beer of this style. But
it is. It is slightly piney, slightly resiny through all that very rich caramelized brown sugars. I think that are I think quite prominent in that.
It's very puddingy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I really like this one. I will say this is now my favorite.
Now your favorite?
Of the four. Yeah.
Really? Well, we might have to joust for that, but it is certainly got plenty of depth, richness, intensity. I like it. I don't know that I like it maybe as much as the first two, but for me, these higher alcohol beers, these kind of sipping beers, I don't know. I think they for me, there's an element of drinkability that I associate with beer. Not that it can't be 10 or 12%, as a lot of beers are, but the drinkability. And I find myself very much taking small sips of this one. And I think that's probably wise. Maybe it's self-preservation, but...
I can feel a certain glow coming about my face after drinking just a little bit of this. It's a strong beer, and I know what you mean about drinkability. It doesn't have... This is a special occasion beer, I guess you would say.
Yeah,
but,
it's an after-dinner beer, a dessert beer that's poured in sort of small measures to have with a pudding. But what I really have enjoyed about it is this the nose and the you smell so many wines, beers over the years, and to get something that was so creme brulee, and maybe, as I said before, I've got this idea of it being French, and a creme brulee is a French desserts, and it leapt into my mind. But I enjoyed really, because that was a brand new smell for me. That was so, and that it's quite exciting that I smelt something that I've never smelt in a beer before. So I think that's a lot of that's big kudos certainly to the brewers on this one. Yeah. Very pleasant, and I keep coming back to it. So there isn't a hesitancy, as there might have been with the previous smoked beer that we had, but very drinkable, but boozy. I think boozy, sipping style of beer, but pleasant, and there are no sort of rough edges or anything. I think it's tasty. You had your little thing there that your brother translated. That
Well,
you'd started.
I mean, it's see if you agree with this. It says its wooden and fruity nose evokes a storehouse smell, which is you were saying there was an earthy element to it.
Yeah.
And its body is like a precious beverage. To taste, there are full-bodied and sweet notes that you can discover with a cheeky warmness. The cognac barrel should be consumed at a temperature between 9 and 11 degrees and kept still.
It'd be difficult to drink it and keep it still at the same time.
It would, unless you had a straw, and I think that's probably asking for trouble.
Yeah, absolutely, with a beer like that, yeah.
But La Debauche, the brewery, is in a village or a town called Angoulême West. Oh, sorry, no, just Angoulême, which is in the west of France, north of Bordeaux. Which is the only one which came from a different shop to the previous three.
Right, so this didn't come from the shop where you got... Yeah.
No, this came from a shop which I love in Lyon. It's on the corner of one of the large places, or Grand Place, one of the large squares, and it's a natural wine shop. So they only sell natural wine and beer.
Yeah.
And weirdly, you can walk in and buy kind of punk IPA and British craft beers, but also they do stock a good range of French craft beers, which is really good to see in a French wine shop, I think.
Yeah.
It kind of...
Well, and balancing this very strong wine culture, this very historically, you think of France, you think wine, but it's great that this is starting to happen. You've got merchants that are starting to acknowledge that there are some very interesting brews being produced there, and that they're bringing in international stuff, but also championing their own breweries, their own craft industry with these. So that's excellent. That's happening. There's that balance there, or hopefully they're finding a bit of balance.
Yeah, and I think it's going to happen all over Europe, really. Wherever there's wine culture, I think there is going to be young people wanting to drink exciting beers.
Yeah.
And then, therefore, set up exciting breweries. Has it changed your opinion of French beer? Or did you not really have an opinion?
Well, no, I guess I didn't really have one. I went to Antwerp a couple of years ago, and I had a really wonderful time there discovering Belgian beers. And I feel like I had a French beer there, or I had a Bière de Garde, and it's a few years ago, but I feel like it was from France, and it was a craft brewery. And I till that point, I really thought, French craft breweries? It had never entered my mind. So I think that's been my only awareness of it until you mentioned going out there and this incredible scene going on that really under our noses that we haven't had any experience of. And as we were discussing before, we've got beers coming from all over the world, and craft breweries, microbreweries from all over the world. Fortunately, not from my home country of Canada. We don't seem to be able to get any in London. But this is going on, like you said, in Italy, in Spain, in France. Scandinavia's gone crazy for it. But you've got this great scene, this really wonderful scene in France, and it's really encouraging.
Yeah. I'm thoroughly impressed with all four of these beers. Obviously, we have our reservations about one of them, but all that means is that people are experimenting, and that's a good thing. And it'd be very easy for French brewers just to go down the kind of standard craft brewery model.
Yeah, absolutely, and be brewing trying to copy the other styles, and you argue, okay, well, stout and saison being very Belgian style, but barrel aging and some of these other things that have come in more recently in the through British brewers. That would be the tack they're taking, but you've got traditional, you've got slightly more out there beers that are very they're none of these beers are faulty. None of these, and for me, 3 of them are very. I really enjoyed them.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of wraps us up with our tour of French breweries. We hope you enjoyed it. There will be more to come.
Is this Parched and Peckish?
This is Parched and Peckish. I haven't even said the title of the podcast yet.
Right. Well, this is the first edition.
Terrible. This is the pilot edition. You can make of that what you will. And the future episodes might not necessarily be about beer. There are lots of ideas we've got coming up.
And we cross a lot of spectrums. Obviously, wine, food. We'll try and stay out of the political spectrum. But it'll involve usually drinking something and hopefully eating something, because that's always the most fun.
Yeah, definitely. So thanks very much for trying us out. And
bonsoir. Bonsoir.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our sojourn in the world of French beer. Just a bit of info about the podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Parched Peckish and read more about the podcast at parchedandpeckish.com. And a bit more info on the book we briefly discussed. It's called Food and Beer, and it's written by Daniel Burns and Jeppe Jarmet Bjergso, who is the brewer behind Evil Twin. It's published by Phaidon, and it really is a thing of great beauty. We've got lots of exciting stuff lined up for the next few episodes, so please subscribe on iTunes or whatever your preferred podcast subscription service is, and we'll keep you up to date on Twitter with any new episodes.